Hello students, I am Dr. Sanjeev Punia. In computer architecture, we discuss about the first unit till now. The main component of first unit is register transfer and micro operations and basic computer organization and its design. Now we will start the fourth unit because this unit is completely independent, whereas second unit is directly concerned with unit 1. So unit 4 is memory organization. So let's start about the memory organization. In memory organization, there are 7 subtopics. First one is memory hierarchy. Second one is main memory. Third, auxiliary memory. Fourth, associative memory. 5, cache memory. 6, virtual memory. And in the last, that is seventh one, is the management of the hardware in the memory. In today's lecture, we will discuss these first 3 type of memories. Means first we will discuss what is memory, then we will discuss about the types or classifications of the memory, then main memory and auxiliary memory. So we will discuss all these 3 in today lectures. So let's start from the memory. What is the need of memory and what is memory? See, whatever the operation we are going to perform in computers, whatever the operation we are going to perform in operation, there is a need of memory. As we discuss about the block diagram of a computer, that this is central processing unit or ALU or CPU. There is a input device. There are some input devices. There is some output devices, and a memory is connected with this ALU. We discuss that the, the sequential circuits are based on the memory, and we have to use the sequential circuits to implement a circuit. So whatever the circuits we are going to implement in computer organization, then there is a need of memory. So memory is the very important part with CPU. So let's discuss about the memory. So memory is a storage device. Memory is a storage device that stores, keep in mind, binary data, that stores binary data, because whatever we are going to store in the memory, that is always going to store in forms of zeros and ones. Means when we have some data or some information, then The information is the collections of bits, and the bits are zeros and one. So storage device, sometimes it is called storage units. So storage devices are the device that contains the combinations of binary bits. Or memory is a storage device where we can store any data in form of binary bits. The memory are of two types: volatile memory and non-volatile memory. It happens in our system that when we switch off our computer, then some data has been lost, or that data is going to used temporarily. So when we switch off the power of our computer, in that case, whatever the data losses, that is called volatile memory. A memory in which the data has been lost at the moment we switch off the system. And non-volatile means the data is permanent. The data is permanent means the data does not lose, it keeps as it is after switching off the power. So storage device is the collections of units in which we can store binary data. These are of two types: volatile memory and non-volatile memory. In volatile memory, data has been lost when we switch off the computer, but in case of non-volatile memory, data remains permanent. Now about the memory hierarchy. As there are different type of memories, so we will discuss about the memory hierarchy here. There are lot of factors. Those are concerned with memory, like cost, speed. So we are discussing the memory hierarchy about the registers. Those are in main memory. About cache memory, main memory, magnetic disk, and magnetic tapes. In these, when we start from downwards to upwards, in that case the of cost of the memory is increasing. The cost of the memory is increasing, and increase order of access time ratio means when a content has to be read or write to memory, then it's take less time. When we start from bottom to top, in this sequence memories take less time to access the content. In case of cost, cost decrease from upward to downwards means the cost of register memory, cache memory are more than the magnetic disk and magnetic tapes. So basically, there are two things. Those are concerned with the memory hierarchy. First one is access time. Second one is cost. And third one, we can say that efficiency. Efficiency is always more in case of register memory, cache memory. So this was the classifications of memory based on their cost and storage. Or we can say in one more way that the size of the memory is going to increase from upward to downward when we are considering that each and every memory have to be on the same cost. If we want to buy a memory on the same cost, means if I want to buy a memory for an example of 5,000 rupees, then I can buy registers, less number of registers instead of magnetic disk or magnetic tapes. So this was about the hierarchy or the classification of the memory. Now, memory access methods. When the data has to be accessed, access means either data has to be read or it has to be write to the memory. Then there can be random access mode, sequential access mode, and direct access mode. In random access mode, the address of the memory location is given. So the processor or arithmetic logic unit read or writes directly to the address given, whereas in sequential access the location is going to access sequentially to write or read the data. In direct access, this is happen generally in case of secondary memory. We will see the diagram of this later. So in direct access, the data has to be stored in form of tracks, and there is read and write head for each and every track, for each and every track. So the memory access method is random, sequential, and direct. These are three access methods by which we can access the memory. Now, main memory. If we will go on the last slide where we discuss about the memory hierarchy, then here you can see that this is main memory, means we are going to discuss about the main memory first, then types of the main memory, Then we will discuss about the magnetic tapes and magnetic disc, both of these. So this is very important memory. This is very important memory. This is called primary memory, or sometimes we will call it only memory. Only memory. This is called magnetic disk, or magnetic tapes are called auxiliary memory. Sometimes we called it secondary memory. We called it secondary memory. So let's start about the main memory. So main memory is divided in two different parts. First one is RAM, that is random access memory, and second is ROM, read only memory. This is the classifications based on the integrated circuit, that which type of semiconductors or capacitors we are going to implement in these. So main memory is broadly two types. First one is RAM, that is random access memory, and second is ROM, read only memory. We will discuss about these in detail in the next slides. So when we are discussing about the RAM, we are dividing RAM, that is random access memory, on the operating mode is SRAM and DRAM. SRAM and DRAM. SRAM is static random access memory, whereas DRAM is dynamic random access memory. Dynamic random access memory. As I told you that memory is made up of storage elements, and we discuss that the smallest storage element is flip-flop. Means memory is the collection of flip-flops in which we can store the data. So when we are using flip-flops or registers, when we are using flip-flops or register, means we are using the SRAM, that is static RAM. These are some properties of static random access memory. It consumes more power compared to DRAM, but it has less access time. It requires less access time to perform read or write operation, to means perform an access operation, while in the case of DRAM, we store the information in capacitors, or data is going to be stored in capacitor instead of flip-flops or instead of register. This is the main difference between the storage technique. It consumes less power compared to SRAM, and there is more access time, or it requires more access time to perform an operation of read or write operation. So if we want to summarize about the RAM, that RAM is a random access memory based on in based on integrated circuits, means semiconductors, means which type of techniques we are using to store the data. So on the operating modes, we can divide these in SRAM and DRAM. SRAM use flip-flops to store the data, and DRAM stores capacitors to store the data. This is the interconnection of the RAM. You have to keep this in mind. It's really simple if you will try to understand seriously. There is always a question based on the RAM interconnections. It can be, the RAM can be of any size. Here I am taking the example of 128 multiplied by 8. It means, it represents that this is output size, or this is the size of the output bus, and this is the size of the memory. It represents the memory size, whereas second part represent the bus width, or the size of the bus size. So this can be changed. It can be m is to n, where m is the size of the memory, whereas n is the size of the bus. So here we are discussing about a memory whose size is 128 and bus size is 8. From here you can see that this is a RAM. This is a 120 by 8 RAM. These are some input signals. These are input signals. Those are shown in the left. On the right side, there is a signal that is bus. We should not say signal. We should say that there is a bus that is connected in the right side. It can be either read or write, means this bus is going to either read from the memory or has to write to the memory, means it is a bidirectional bus. Bi means two, so it is a bidirectional bus. Either it can read the data from the memory or it can write the data to the memory. We will discuss about this within a moment. Let's first try to understand about the operations of these. So when we are saying that 128 size of the RAM, We know that if I want to represent the RAM whose size is 4 is to left ever whatever the bus size is, we are not concerned about this. So when there are 4 words, means when we can store 4 words in the memory. Let me draw over here. When we can store 4 words in a memory, then these 4 words can be represented by 2 bits, like 00. This is 00. This is now this is 01. Second one is 01. Third one is 10, and last one is 11. Means when we have to represent any word in the memory, that then word is depend on the number of address lines. That what is the bit of address line? If I have 2 bits, then I can access only 4 memory locations. I told it earlier also that this is the way to find out the memory address lines. 2 raised to the power n equals to size of the memory 128. Here 128. In first unit, we discussed when we were taking the size 4096. 4096. So at that time also we try to find out that the total number of bits we required for this. So in this case, the value of n means 2 raised to the power 7 is equals to 128. This is 2 raised to the power 2 is 4. This is 4. Okay, let me do it in different way. This is 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 again multiplied by 2 and again multiplied by 2. These are of 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 1 is left, so this is also 2. So when I have to multiply this, this is 2 multiplied by 2 4, 4 multiplied by 2 8, 8 multiplied by 2 16, 16 multiplied by 2 32, 32 multiplied by 2 64, and 64 multiplied by 2 is 128. So we need 7 address lines. We need 7 address lines to represent 128 words in the memory. So this is the reason that the size of the address bus is 7 bits. So we are using a address bus of 7 bit that represent the size of the memory. That represent the size of the memory. Only this one. And it is unidirectional because this is used to send the address, that at which address The operation has to be performed means read from the memory or has to be write to the memory. So this is unidirectional only. Now these two chip select, that is CS1 and CS2 bar. Keep in mind this is CS2 bar. We will discuss within a moment about bar. But keep this mind that we are discussing about only CS1, that is chip select line 1 and complement of chip select line 2. So these two also unidirectional and are used to select the operation we have to perform. Means we have to perform the read operation or we have to perform the write operation. So when we have two selection lines, there can be four combinations, that is 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 0 and 1 1. So based on these four, it will depend that on one signal we will read. It's not necessary that on 0 0 it will read. I am giving you the example only. For an example, it is writing on this address. So when we have two selection lines, then at the different combinations of these selection lines, the operation is going to be select that this is a read operation or this is a write operation. This one more thing, this data bus is or can work in three states. Three state means three state buffer. Either it will work means logic 1, it is 1, or it is 0 means it will not work, or it is in high impedance mean there is a circuit that is open, means we cannot send a 0 signal or a 1 signal. It means these both are logic 0 and logic 1, means we are sending a signal, means we are either reading the data or writing the data. But when the data bus is in high impedance, then we cannot access the circuit. So it will also depend on the value of selection lines. Now we will see the different combinations and at which combinations what happens, we will see this over here. See, instead of CS2, I am directly taking CS bar. For an example, you can consider that this is A and this is B. Over we are giving a input that is CS bar. So there can be different combinations as we discuss 0 0, 0 1, 1 0, This is 1010 because they have written this based on read and write. These three are different. This is 00, this is cross and 1, and this is 1 and cross. These three are different. This is the reason that this is going to, this is means 10 is going to repeat 3 times. So the combinations is 00. Second, it is 01. First combination is 00. Second is 01. Third is 10, and fourth is 1 and 1. So we are taking the 4 combinations based on 2 selection lines, that is CS1 and CS2 bar. Now, when we have to perform a write signal, when we have to perform a write signal, in that case, CS1 should be 1. So CS is 1 in this case. So the operation is going to perform any of these 4, means not in these 2. This is decided from the CS1. And when this is CS2, then it will perform the work because CS2 should be 1. CS2 should be 1, but we are using CS2 bar. When CS2 bar is 0, then it is 1. Here it should be by mistake. Here it should be 1. So CS2 should be 1, but when the value of CS2 bar is 0. So value of CS2 bar is 0 only in these 3. So operations can be performed only in these 3, not over here also. From CS1, we decide that the operation will not performed over here in these 2 conditions. It can be performed in these 4 combinations, But from CS2 bar, we came to know that the operation is going to perform only in these 3 combinations, not in this combination. So when this is 10, and so when these signals are 1 and 0, then this bus is in high impedance or circuit is in high impedance. When data has to be write, to the memory, then the write signal should be high, and when data has to be read from the memory, then write signal should be high. So conclusion from this is that when we have CS1 and CS2 0, CS1 1 and CS2 0, and write signal is high, then write operation is going to be performed. Write means we are writing data to the RAM, input data to RAM. And when CS1, CS2 bar is 1 and 0, as well as read signal is high, then data is going to be read from the memory. Out means read from the memory. And when these are 1 and 0, when CS1 and CS2 bar are 1 and 0, and these are not working means these read and write signals are not active, or these are low, then it will work, the circuit will work in high impedance. Circuit will work as an high impedance. So let's come on the next slide and we will see about the ROM. When we are discussing about the primary memory, as I told you, that it is also called main memory or only memory. So we will called primary memory, main memory, or memory. These are the same. So when we have a memory, the primary component of that is RAM. Wherever there is some part that is called ROM. That is called ROM. So in computers, there is some partial portion, some little portion that is worked as an ROM. This is random access memory, and data is permanent in random data is permanent in read-only memory. Whereas data is temporary, that is volatile, is in RAM. So in ROM portion, what happens? In ROM portion, we store a program and data that are required to start the computer. When we switch on the computer, then there is some programs that is required to switch on the operating system, means there is a memory that is RAM. So when we switch on our computer, then operating system is going to be accessed from the ROM. Here are some instructions those tell computer that these are the basic instructions based on which the system is going to be start. This is also called bootstrapper. This is also called bootstrapper loader. Loader, why? Because it loads the contents, that is program and data in the ALU, arithmetic logic unit. So this was the basic use of ROM, that is read only memory. This is the chip interconnection of ROM. Here also you can see that the bus size is, that is data bus size is 8 bits, whereas I am taking the size of ROM is 512, means we can store 512 words in this memory. We can take 128 also. It's not necessary that we have to take 516. But I took 512 because you will came to know that how we can change the address line based on the size of the memory. So when the size of memory is 512, then 2 raised to the power 9 is equals to 512. So if I want to access a word from the memory, then I want 9 address lines. So these are 9 address lines. These are 9 address lines. This is unibus, as we discussed unidirectional bus. These two are used for the operation, that which type of operations we can perform, but keep in mind here in ROM we have to use only and only output mode, that is read mode. Means only and only the information can be read from the ROM, cannot be write to the ROM. This is the reason that at this time data bus is unidirectional. In unidirectional, if you will pay attention, then in the last one in the ROM we discuss that the bus is bidirectional. Here the bus is bidirectional because we can read the data or we can write the data to the RAM, but from the ROM we have to only access or read the data. This also works in 3 buffer states. First one is logic, means how when it is 1, when the value of this is 1, means the data has to be read from the memory. When the value of logic is 0, means data will not be read from the memory at this time, and it can be high impedance like RAM. High impedance means open circuit. It means it will not work. Now you can say that what's the need of high impedance when we are using logic 0? If we do not want to use the line or want to use the circuit, then in that case we can put the value of logic 0. But each and every component consumes some electricity, consumes some power. So when this is active, that's true that this is not sending the information, this is not reading the information, but when logic value is 0, but it is active, it is active, so it is taking or consuming some power. So when this is in the high impedance, then it will work as an open circuit. So circuit operates only when CS1 will be 1 and value of CS2 bar is equals to 0. It should be by mistake, I'm sorry, it should be 1 over here as in the case of the RAM. So this has been finished about the RAM. Now let me see which one is the next topic. Yeah, next topic is, this is the third last topic of today lecture, magnetic tapes or magnetic disc. This is long-term storage. This is used as a long-term storage when data has to be stored for a long duration and not immediate use. It is also used as the backup. As backup is very important, data can be lost anytime because of some problem, so everyone has to take the backup. So these magnetic tapes and magnetic discs are used to take the backup. The properties of these are: this is low cost. We discuss about the cost and efficiency as well as the speed in the classification of the memory. It has high capacity, means space is more. The problem with the disadvantage of magnetic tapes is that it is slow access, means data can be read or write at a slow speed, from the memory, from the secondary memory. When data has to be stored in magnetic tapes or magnetic disk, then the storage is like the circles, like the circular plate. This plate is made up of either plastic or metal. This is the storage device, the secondary storage device, or this is also called auxiliary storage. So this is like plastic or metal plates coated with coated with magnets, coated with magnet. It is used in both the side, means we are going to use the upper side as well as the lower side of this disk also. What happens? Lot of disks are stacked over each other, and these are inserted in a one spindle. Suppose this is a spindle, then lot of circular disc are attached in with this spindle, as well as each and every side has its read and write has separately. Each and every side of the plate has read and write head separately, as well as for the different plates also. If I am saying that in a magnetic tape there are 10,000 circular plates, those are going to be used in both the direction first. So this is multiplied by 2, and there is read and write heads on both the surface of the disk. These disks are coated with magnets, and these are divided into sectors as well as tracks. Sectors as well as tracks. The circular way, the circular way, or when we divide the disk circularly. In that case, it is called trace. And when we divide this in a part, then it is called sector. Means each and every disk is divided into sectors and trace. And this is a read write head. It happens, it happens means whatever we are seeing this plate on one side, it happens on all the plates and both side. So this was the case in magnetic tapes and magnetic disc. So in the next lecture, we will discuss about the associative memory. So let us summarize what we discuss about the memory organizations today. We will discuss memory hierarchy, types of memory, main memory, and auxiliary, that is secondary memory today in memory organization. We discuss about the storage type, that is volatile and non-volatile. Then we discuss about the memory hierarchy, that based on the size as well as cost and speed. Then we discuss about the primary memory, uh, about the RAM, about the ROM, about the interconnections and access of access signals, that how the data is going to be accessed in RAM as well as in ROM. Then in the last we discuss about the magnetic tapes or magnetic disks, that is secondary memory. We discuss about advantage, properties, and disadvantage of secondary memory. Then we saw the construction, that how the magnetic tapes and magnetic disk is going to be constructed, and what is the different procedure to implement that. So in the next lecture we will discuss about associate memory. Thank you.